This is Two Teachers Chat with your hosts, Brenda McCrate and Peggy Wilbur.
Morning, Peg.
Morning, Brenda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are Two Teachers Chat.
What are we up to today?
Today, my question is, can you show us how to model a read aloud for, let's say, second and third grade level students?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I picked a book that I love, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And in the older grades, one of the things we talk about often is point of view. So this is a great book for modeling point of view of the author or the narrator or whatever. And that is a difficult concept for a lot of kids. So I'm going to read a portion of this. But what I want you to concentrate on is there's really two parts of modeling. And a lot of times we model what we want them to do. We walk them through the math problem. We walk them through, answering a question to show them how to answer the question. But we don't think out loud for them. So if we're going to give it names, tier 1 is doing the task, doing the math problem, reading it, whatever. And then tier 2 would be the think aloud. Okay, how do I know that? That's the big question you're asking. And then when they're doing the same task, you get to ask them that. How do you know that? So let me begin, my children. All right, boys and girls, we are going to begin The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And I want you to think about the point of view in this whole book of the little girl telling the story, okay? She's the narrator, and she tells the whole story from her point of view. And I'm going to begin today. I'm going to start reading, and I'm going to ask myself the question, what is the little girl's feeling about the family she's describing, the Herdmans? Okay, so let's begin. The Herdmans were absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world. They lied and stole and smoked cigars, even the girls, and talked dirty and hit little kids and cussed their teachers and took the name of the Lord in vain and set fire to Fred Shoemaker's old broken down tool house. The tool house burned right down to the ground, and I think that surprised the Herdmans. They set fire to things all the time, but that was the first time they managed to burn down a whole building. I guess it was an accident. I don't suppose they woke up that morning and said to one another, let's go burn down Fred Shoemaker's tool house. But maybe they did. After all, it was a Saturday and there wasn't much going on. Now, I'm thinking and picturing what happened so far in the story. She said they did terrible things like talk dirty and hit little kids and cuss their teachers, and they burned this person's tool house down. And at first, I think, well, what does she feel about them? What is her point of view? I think this little girl's point of view right off first is she hates them. She thinks they're awful and terrible and she would never have anything to do with them. Because the very first sentence says they were absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world. So let me just take a check here. Give me a thumbs up if you think she really doesn't like them, maybe even hates them. Okay, so some of you do. But I bet some of you are thinking like I'm thinking. First of all, she wants to tell this whole story. I wonder if even though she thinks they're naughty and bad, but she makes it sound almost like she wants to tell every little detail of their life. And I'm thinking to myself, and I can't open my head so you can see me thinking, so I'm going to talk out loud. I'm thinking to myself, when I want to give every single detail of a story about somebody, whether it's somebody I know or just somebody that, I saw them do something, It's not always because I think they're terrible. Sometimes it's because I kind of secretly would like to be like them. Like, ooh, wouldn't it be kind of exciting to be a herdman and do all these very naughty things? I don't know yet. I'm going to have to read some more to see how she describes them later on. So let me turn and read a little bit, but just keep that in mind, boys and girls, because my mind is saying, I know from my own experience that if I'm telling every detail of a story, it's because I kind of liked those people. It was a terrific fire. 2 engines and 2 police cars and all the volunteer firemen and 5 dozen donuts sent up from the Tasty Lunch Diner. The donuts were supposed to be for the firemen, but by the time they got the fire out, the donuts were all gone. The herdmans got them. What they couldn't eat, they stuffed in their pockets and down the front of their shirts. You could actually see the donuts all around Ollie Herdman's middle. I couldn't understand why the herdmans were hanging around the scene of their crime. Everybody knew the whole thing was their fault, and you'd think they'd have the brains to get out of sight. One fireman even collared Claude Herdman and said, "Did you guys start this fire smoking cigars in that tool house?" But Claude just said, "We weren't smoking cigars." And they weren't. They were playing with Leroy Herdman's young Einstein chemistry set, which he stole from the hardware store, and that was how they started the fire. What do you think, boys and girls? I'm thinking she is giving every little detail. It's almost as if she was there following them around. I'm thinking that even though she's got mixed emotions, that's how I feel now, because she's looking at it and seeing that they are doing all these terrible things, so they can't be really good people. But on the other hand, they manage to get donuts and they do cool things with chemistry, and they're obviously seeming to enjoy what they do, like with the chemistry set and everything. I wonder, now I'm thinking more that it's like me sometimes. I know that somebody's not the greatest person, but I also kind of envy them because they have a little more excitement in their lives. So sometimes, boys and girls, when I'm thinking about a story, I can't just read what's in there. I can't just say, oh, she hates them because she started out, the Herdmans were absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world. Sometimes we need to use our background experience, our background knowledge of how we think, as well as what's right in the text. And so when you're reading, boys and girls, I want you to use the text. Don't just make up unicorn answers, okay, guys? But also think about, what do I know about people, or how do I feel about people? Okay, so we'll try that as we read. So teachers, to do a tier 2 for you, okay, so I modeled my thinking for the kids. This is a critical thing, to metacognate for the kids, because with the standards we have now and what we need the kids to do, they need to be thinking about their thinking. And they have to be shown how to do that. That's the tier 2, okay? So yes, read out loud, or if you're doing guided reading, wherever you're reading, model answering those questions, but think about your thinking for the kids. And that will help them do all the things that they need to do. And now I'm going to go get some caffeine.
Thank you for watching 2 Teachers Chat. Until next time, and remember, teachers touch lives forever.